Much. Thank you, sir, for that short COVID talk. Dear learners, welcome once again. Today, we are going to be looking at a very interesting topic, which is called identifying market opportunities. Identifying market opportunities. Now, in our introduction, we would like to say that identification of market opportunities is a backbone of any business, meaning that it is the most important activity before you start any business. Before you start a business, it is very important that you know where you are going to provide your goods and services. And with experience in business, the experiences we're going to share today are real experiences. They are real case studies, because we, as your facilitators, we have learned quite a lot of things that happen in the marketplace. And we also learn from you, our learners, because when we visit you, and we shall be visiting, we'll continue visiting you. When we visit you, you share your experiences with us. And some of you will tell us that the most difficult thing about your business is ready market. So today we want to talk about how to identify those market opportunities. Entrepreneurs who first carry out market identification of market opportunities very often make well-informed decisions. They make very sound investment decisions. What do we mean by that? When an entrepreneur, first of all, identifies who they will be doing business with, they will make very important decisions, such as how to maybe package that product, or maybe what quantities they need to be producing of that particular product, or maybe what kind of quality is required by a particular market, okay? What days maybe of the month do they need to produce more? That is very, very important. And that is why we are saying, when you identify the market opportunities, you will make very well-informed decisions and very sound investment decisions. Okay? What is an investment? When we say investment, we are talking about you putting money into a project that will begin to generate income. That is an investment. An investment can also mean you putting in place certain machinery so that you can begin to produce certain goods that are going to be sold to a certain market so that you can generate wealth. That is an investment. So, appropriate procedures and factors must be taken into consideration when identifying market opportunities. Okay, so that is our introduction. Now, I'm going to very quickly go through with you some definitions. We need to define what we mean by market. I think we use this term all the time. as business people. We use it all the time. Government uses it all the time. And therefore, the word market is something that is on the lips of the entrepreneur every day. So what is a market? The term market, write it down, dear learners. The term market is defined in many different ways by different people. The range of definitions of the word market includes the following. A market can be a place where people meet and buy products such as vegetables, such as tomatoes, such as fish, and many other products. So, one good example of a marketplace is the Kiawama market in Solwezi, or the main market in Solwezi, or Chisokode market in Kitwe. That's a market. That's a place where people meet to buy products. Soweto market in Lusaka, Kasumbalesa market in Kipushi, in Chizawombwe. Those are examples of markets. Okay, that is the first type of definition. The second kind of definition of a market is the customers themselves. The customer, the people, or other businesses that are in need of your goods and services. Those people who are willing to pay for your goods and for your services, they are your market. So if you have a barber shop, if you have a salon, and you have people, you have customers who come to have their hair done, those are your market. So we are saying market can be the customer. It can be the people that come to buy your goods or services. Or it can be an institution. So if you are in construction, you register as a small business, and we are encouraging you to do that. Register your cooperative. Register your small business. Maybe it's a business name. Maybe it's a limited company. And you decide to go in construction. You apply for CDF projects under any municipal council in the country. When that particular council gives you that tender for you to build a 3x1 classroom block, that council is your market. That council or that government department that is giving you business, or that mining company, or that other non-mining company is your market. When those of you who have grown soybeans, if you are a farmer this year, you have grown soybeans and you are targeting to sell your soybeans to the Food Reserve Agency, then they are your market. If you are targeting to sell your soybeans to Mutanda farms because they buy in bulk, that is your market. Dear learners, I hope we are following each other on this one. We are giving a definition of a market. The first one we said is a place where people buy to sell products and services. The second one is the customer. The customer can be an individual, or it can be a government department, or it can be other businesses that want to buy your goods and services. Those are your market. Another definition is a regular gathering where people buy and sell goods and services, just like we have already explained. It's a regular gathering, like at the Jawama market, at Soweto market. Now, another definition may be an area of a town. That can be your market. Or it can be a country. Maybe you are saying you are producing for the Congo market. Our friends who are in Lusaka, some of the farmers take their goods to Malawi. There is a ready market for their products. Some of them take their goods to Zimbabwe. So a country can be a market. A town like Kitwe can be a market. Or a section of the population to which goods and services can be sold. That can be your market. So one section of the population can be, maybe you are targeting a certain part of the town where you're living because of the certain characteristics of that part of the town, because of the type of people that live there. That can be a market. A market might simply refer to demand for some particular goods or services. That is market. When there is demand for your goods and services, it means there is market. When the demand is high, there is high market. When the demand is low at that particular time, the market is low. So, dear learners, that is the definition of market. My colleague will take you through into the next segment.
Thank you so much. The next segment is type of goods and services. Okay, the type of goods and services that you are going to identify market opportunities for. So in the first place, you must have in mind the goods that you want to enter a market with. So before embarking an identification of market opportunities, a potential entrepreneur should be aware of the goods and services that he plans to enter the market with. In other words, what are your goods or services that you are identifying opportunities for? The goods and services could be classified as the following. This could be goods and services in which you have competencies and management ability, skills, and experience. Okay, this is one type of the goods. For example, you are a builder. You build houses. You have competencies, a qualified builder you are. You could enter a market with that expertise as a builder. You will market yourself as a builder, a competent builder. A barber, a very good barber, is also a service provider. Now you enter that market with that service. You say, me, I know how to barb, how to actually play around with people's hair. You are entering there with that expertise. Okay, that is one type. You, as the entrepreneur, have expertise, have competencies in the goods and services that you want to enter the market with. The other one would be goods and services in which you are not trained. You have no competencies. and management ability, skills, or experiences. But you are either trainable in the new field in which you want to venture in, or you are ready to employ someone who is an expert to help you. So here what we are saying is we have two types of goods that you and services that you will enter the market with. It's either you have expertise or you don't have this expertise, but you can employ someone to help you, someone who has that expertise. So those are the types. Okay? We can go to the next segment.
Wonderful. So you have heard, dear learners, the types of goods that you need, okay, types of goods and services that you need for market opportunities. Let us now look at environmental scanning. Environmental scanning. First of all, what is an environment? An environment is, in this case, talking about the surroundings of a particular area. That is what we mean by an environment. So, for example, Solwezi is an environment. Northwestern Province is an environment. Lusaka is an environment. The DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, is an environment. China is an environment, and they have different characteristics. So, environmental scanning may be defined as getting and analyzing or examining all important information about a particular environment where you want to do business, where you want to get into. So you need to get certain information that is very, very important before you go into that business. Before you buy your goats to go and sell at the Congo border in Kasumbalesa or Kipushi, you first of all need to find out certain information about that environment. That is very important. Once a business idea has been conceived, you need to subject that idea to some scanning in order to determine whether market opportunities exist for that. Let me give you another example. You are saying, I want to grow 5 hectares of cabbage. Before you grow that, you need first of all to identify, to scan which environment you want to take the cabbages to. Okay, 1 hectare of cabbage will have about 40,000 heads. Okay, so when you talk about 5 hectares, you are talking about 200,000 heads of cabbage. So when you are scanning the environment, you'll be asking questions like, is the Solwezi able to consume 200,000 cabbages? If yes, which environment? Is it the open market where you park your truck at Mitek and you have marketeers coming to buy from you? Are they able to consume 200,000 cabbages? Okay. Then you start to plan on how you are going to grow them. Are you going to stagger them so that at every particular time when you start harvesting, you've got a few cabbages? You are scanning the environment. You are looking at Solwezi. You are comparing it with other markets like the Kipushi border market. or the Kasumbalesa border market? What are the characteristics there? Can they consume huge volumes? Okay. So you are now making sure that the idea that you have is being subjected to some scanning so that you can determine whether market exists for that particular product and how much market is there. It is very, very important. I can give you an example of our own farm, Fortune World. We have, at this time, we have a lot of chilies at the farm. We are harvesting a lot of chilies. We have scanned the market, and we have discovered that the Solwezi market is only able to consume a certain amount of bags per week. Okay? And we have discovered where we can offload many bags at once. That is environmental scanning. Environmental scanning is therefore very important because it enables a potential entrepreneur to make informed and strategic decisions. So informed decisions are decisions that you make because you have been given certain information. Okay? And then strategic decisions are decisions that you make because you are doing certain things deliberately in order for you to enter a certain market. Those are strategic decisions. For example, if you are a farmer and you know that in June, there'll be, usually in June, we have a shortage of certain crops. They are not so many on the market like tomatoes. They become expensive. A strategic farmer will plant their nurseries this time. This is February, mid-February, so that by the time the rains are going, they'll continue irrigating if they have an irrigation system. And by the time they are offloading, whether it is their tomatoes or you decide to plant your maize now so that you'll be selling it as fresh maize in June, that is a strategic decision. So you're making informed and strategic decisions about what market opportunities are there for your goods and services. Environment scanning also looks at, or it also helps a potential investor to be able to predict the future of market opportunities for his or her goods or services with more precision. Another example I can give you, a lot of companies now have been registered and they are busy putting in place certain papers, such as the National Council for Construction certificate, and all those papers, the public procurement certificate, so that when CDF projects are released very soon, they'll be able to apply for them. So they are scanning the environment by listening to government policy. That is another strategy. Government has said form cooperatives. There will be grants. There will be youth empowerment. So there are some youths that have taken strategic decisions and they are preparing in a certain way so that they'll be able to produce certain goods and supply them and also provide certain services with precision. Precision simply means to be accurate, to be precise. Environment scanning is a continuous process and should therefore play an important role in an entrepreneur's business operations once an idea has been transformed into an actual business enterprise. So we are saying environment scanning is continuous because the environment keeps changing. It keeps changing like the seasons keep changing. So you have to keep scanning the environment and you keep improving and modifying the way you are providing your goods and services. It becomes a continuous process because business operates in an environment that is dynamic. It keeps changing. This means that a lot of factors equally require constant changes. For example, you need to keep changing the technology that you're using. You need to keep on changing maybe the strategies that you're going to employ in a certain business environment. So, dear learners, we have looked at environmental scanning in any of the presentations that we are making. If you have a question, please write it down. Write it down now. And the time for us to answer the questions when we open the phone lines is coming soon.
Thank you so much. The next segment that we are going to look at is market identification. Market identification. We have looked at environmental scanning. When you go into an environment, scanning, you are searching actually, looking for a market. You go in that environment with, you have your goods that you want to take in there. Now you go into there to find out whether you can find a market in that area there where you have gone. Okay? So market identification simply means exploring the market. Now, we know there are factors actually in the market. There. One, we have talked about the place itself. Two, we are talking about the people who live there, okay, who are your customers. We are looking also at the people whom you will find there who already be doing business. So what you need to do is to know the characteristics of that particular market. We'll give an example of, say, you have some goods that you feel you can find a market for in Kazomba. Okay? When you go into Kazomba there, what you will do is you will meet people, discuss with them, find out whether they are in need of the goods that you have. Within there, you also look around. That's why we are saying an entrepreneur should keep his eyes open, his ears open, so that he can make informed decisions. When you go into there, check around. Who are your competitors? If you brought such goods in this Kazomba, how strong are those competitors? Those are the issues that you'll be looking at. The people who are your customers, no, you need to know what type of people are these? Are they mostly women? Are they men? Are these people workers or farmers? You see, if you look at these two, they have different needs, okay? Workers, those who get a salary every month, they have a buying power, okay? Now, if you look at the farmer, he only gets his money when he has sold his goods, you see? So his money doesn't come like regularly, okay? So that is the type of information that you are supposed to collect when you go into that environment to identify a market, okay? So know the characteristics What is their buying power? How do they buy? Okay. Are they instinctive buyers? Those who just say, okay, just because we have seen this, we are buying without even budgeting or preparing a budget for such a particular, good. Or are they those who are very particular? Before they buy something, they have to sit down and plan. So you have such people in an environment. So you need to know those. Children also are your customers. They have their likes because they are children. Their likes are different from the elders. Okay. So these are issues that you'll be checking in that market. Okay. Find the information about your competition. Competitors, you will always find them in a market. You will be lucky to go in an area where you are the only one. But be rest assured that you will soon receive some other people who come to compete with you. Okay? So now, look at your competitors. How strong are these competitors? What is it that they do which you can do better? That is how you'll be doing your identification. Then after you have collected all this information, you sit down and now make an informed decision. You strategize. How do I enter this market with all this information? Okay. So we can go to the next segment.
Wonderful. So we have looked at market identification. Let us now look at market characteristics. The goods or services for which you are identifying market opportunities will be part of either what we call a primary, a secondary, or a certain industry. Okay, so by primary, we are talking about maybe something that is the main kind of industry. Okay, it is actually the basis of that particular market. Secondary is maybe any other kind of market. Okay, so a primary, secondary, or certain industry. Find out where your goods or services will be sold. It is very, very important that you are going to find out where you are going to sell your goods. Market characteristics, we are talking about the kind of behavior in that kind of environment. So when we talk about market characteristics, like my colleague already mentioned, there are different characteristics of different kinds of maybe age groups. There are different characteristics of maybe certain classes of people. Those who are working have got different characteristics. Those who are perhaps in business have different characteristics. Those who are farmers, they behave in a certain way, they buy in a certain way. So these are what we call market characteristics. So it's very, excuse me, it's very important for you to actually look at the characteristics of the kind of market that you want to enter. There are different characteristics of certain countries, for instance. The behavior of the Zambian market is different from the Congolese market. It is different from the Chinese market. And we need to have that kind of information when we want to enter into a certain market. It's very, very important.
Okay, thank you so much. Now let's look at the target customer profile. Now we are targeting our customer. We have gone into that community. Now, we have collected certain information. Now we should narrow down now to who is going to buy our goods or services. So when you are identifying market opportunities, you should do the following. Narrow the range of your potential customers to those specific ones who are willing and able to buy your products. So you narrow the range of your potential customers to those specific ones who are willing and able to buy your products. Secondly, although many other customers may need your products, the goal is to define your target customer as specifically as possible, both quantitatively and qualitatively. Include psychographic information, understanding why customers buy products at all. Thorough and detailed knowledge of the customer will help you identify marketing opportunities that are real. Okay? So very important. You identify who are these particular customers who will buy from you. Okay? So narrow down to that so that you give them a good service, both qualitatively and quantitatively. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in addition to my colleagues' emphasis on targeting customer profile, he has talked about the two definitions here, the two terms that he has used, quantitatively and qualitatively. By quantitatively, the word quantitative comes from the word quantity. So when we are looking at something quantitatively, it means that we are looking at maybe numbers. We are looking at the volumes, okay? And when we talk about qualitatively, the word qualitative comes from the word quality. So qualitatively is referring to the kind of quality that you are providing. So quantitative talks about the quantities, and qualitative talks about the quality. So what kind of quality of products are you going to provide for a certain market? I can give an example of our colleagues who are in the business of hardware. They sell hardware products. There we have a lot of quality issues because some of the hardware is not original. They are not very strong. Okay, you can talk about building, building hardware for construction. Some doors, some door handles, some padlocks, and many other things. Some of them are not as strong as the original products. So we are looking at quality. And it's deliberate because there are certain markets which buy a certain quality because of issues of affordability. So that is very, very important as we are targeting the customer profile. You are looking at a certain type of market and you are looking at the kind of quantities that a certain market can consume, and you are looking at a certain quality of what that market can afford. So whether it is clothes, whether it is spare parts, there are issues to do with quantity and quality. Now, if you intend to sell to individual customers, then you need to consider the following. Are your customers local? Are they based in the town where you are, like Solwezi, like Lusaka? Are they regional? Are your customers only located in Northwestern Province? Are they only located in Lusaka Province, Copperbelt Province? Who are your target? Or are they national or international? That is very, very important for you to identify, because that is going to give you a certain way of packaging your product, distributing your product, distributing your services. Secondly, are your customers young? Are they old? Are they male? Are they female? Are they formal? Are they high income or are they low income? Why are these important? When your customers are young people, there are certain products that you can reach out to them. So you can reach out to young people with very sophisticated, perhaps, smartphones, because they like using smartphones for many functions. Maybe you can enter the market of young people with laptops. Nowadays, students in college are all supposed to have a laptop because they do a lot of research on the computer. So the young population, when it comes to fashion, what kinds of clothes do they wear? What do the young men like? What do the young ladies like in terms of fashion? So you're looking at the age group. If they are old, what do they like? What are the products that you're going to capture the old population with? Are they formal? Formal, by formal, we mean, are they maybe in formal employment? Do they behave in a formal fashion? Your customers are bankers, for example. What and maybe you have clothes that you sell to bankers. What kinds of clothes do you think bankers like? Okay, obviously the bankers like very formal wear. They wear suits, they wear ties. That is what bankers like. Are they high income? If they are high income, there are certain products that they like. There are certain shops that when you set them up, they will go to those particular shops. The high income, high or middle income, you find them in ShopRite, you find them in Pick and Pay, because those are the kinds of areas they can go to. Or are they lower income? So you find them in the ordinary markets. You find them buying on the streets. So it is very important that you consider that. You consider what the individuals are looking for. Then, are there cultural considerations? So if you're going to sell meat products to maybe the Asian community, okay, there's what they call halal. So there's a certain way you're going to sell your meat. It has to, if you slaughter a goat, for the Asian community, then that goat has to drain all the blood. You have to drain it. That's what they call halal. Are there cultural considerations? Excuse me. If you are going to open up a restaurant and you name it a Congolese restaurant, what kind of food do they like? They like their food with, with a lot of chilies, and they cook it in a certain way. So you're looking at cultural considerations. or other personal factors that might shape your customer needs, wants, and buying behavior. This information may be publicly available sometimes. For instance, nowadays you can go on the internet and you can find out characteristics about certain populations, and you have a clue, you get a clue with regards to how you can penetrate the market. However, supplement your findings with interviews with people. It's very important. Okay? Currently in the industry, as well as your own experiences, is there an opportunity for growth in that particular market after you have done your interviews? That is very, very important. So if you're a small scale farmer, you can, as you interact, as you deliver your import at the market and you're dealing with the women who buy to resell, ask them questions. And they give very useful information. They will tell you when there is a shortage of this particular product, when the prices are high, and so forth. Very, very important. That is very important. So we have looked at, selling to individual customers and what you need to consider.
Thank you so much. Now we have looked at the customer. The next person that we are going to look at in the market is the competitor. I think I did mention that, yes, you may be the first one in an area to sell a certain type of goods, but be rest assured that soon enough, somebody else will come to compete with you. So as an entrepreneur, be always ready for competition. You will find it, or it will even find you. So let's do some competitors assessment. Identification of market opportunities is therefore incomplete without competitor assessment. As a potential entrepreneur looking for market opportunities, you should also scan your competitors. Review your specific competitors in the market. Establish competitors selling products, those products that you also intend to sell, and make sure that you define who your competitors are and profile them. Profiling them is looking at what they do. Who are they? Right? Their characteristics. You want to know how long they have been in business. You want to know how they do their business. So that is profiling. You are actually investigating fully what your competitors do, okay, and how they behave. So you define who your competitors are and profile them. Next, how do they operate? How is your position in relative terms? Now you look at how these people operate. Then now you try to place yourself now. You say, okay, now this is how these guys operate. How do I penetrate this market? How will I come into the market to compete with these people? Yesterday we had a question during the Kaonde session. Somebody was talking about competitors. Those, just because he has gone into there, he found competitors, and these competitors viewed him as an enemy. So now his question was, what do I do that My colleagues whom I have found there, they look at me as an enemy. How do I behave? You see, so those are issues that you should always look at. How do they meet the customer needs? And what is it that you are going to offer in that market? Better still, how or what is it that you are going to offer differently? That is how you compete favorably. You see, this is what they do, these guys. Now, what is it that I can do differently? And actually, the one who asked the question is a barber. So now we were saying, okay, the best way you can compete favorably there is to bring in new ideas, right? As you are barbing, the other barbers just ended cutting the hair and that's it. But you can bring in things like my perfume, you whatever you rub in somebody's hair so that they feel comfortable and nice. So that is what you are going to look at to say, now, since these guys are not doing this, me, I'm going in with this new idea. And then you will find that you end up having more customers than them. So most importantly, know your customers, know what they do, and know what you can do better than them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have looked at competitors' assessment, and examples have been given in defining who your competitors are. As you are profiling them, you are identifying them. For example, you want to go into the business of keeping maybe chicken layers. Who are the players in this environment? Maybe you can identify big players like Mutanda Farms. How do they operate? Mutanda Farms operates in such a way that they have bought a lot of trucks and they distribute to the border areas and throughout the province. That's how they operate. How is your position in relative terms? Maybe your position is that you are a smaller, upcoming farmer, okay, that is going to keep layers. So you can now begin to change the strategy. So if you cannot afford to distribute like Mutanda Farms, you can start targeting maybe the Tuntemba, because Mutanda Farms has no time to take to the Tuntemba. They would drop their eggs at maybe a certain depot, and the people with Tuntemba will go and buy from there. Another egg producer is Mega Eggs. They have opened an outlet here in Solwezi, and you find a lot of trays there, and people go to buy from them. What can be your strategy? Your strategy can be you start following the Tuntemba owners. You sign agreements with them, and you drop eggs in every Tuntemba. That's what happens with even companies which are selling bread. The Humilicious Bakery, they take to the Ntemba. Every morning you find their vehicles are going round. They distribute. In the evening, they come and collect their money. So you can also begin to find your business model, how you will operate and compete with the big players. So how do they meet their customer needs? They distribute in a certain way. What will you offer? How will you do it differently? So maybe the eggs that Mutanda Farms sells, maybe you cannot buy it on credit. But for you, maybe you can identify certain shops and you can give them on credit. And you collect your money at the end of the day, or after 3 days, or at the end of the week. So these are very practical things, dear learners, that we need to take note of. Now, let's look at the following about the competitor. When you are looking at the competitor, the first thing you want to find out is what is their market share? What kind of influence does Mutanda Farm have in the area of eggs distribution? What is their market share? When you find out how widely their products are distributed, then you can look at now the gaps and fill in the gaps by distributing your products to that gap that has been left in the market. Secondly, the other question you ask is, what is their relationship with customers? This one, dear learners, is very, very important. The customer care aspect in business is very, very important. There are many learners that we have visited who have testified and have said before they started attending the training program, they had very poor relationships with their customers. But the training has equipped them with ability to welcome customers, serve them very well with respect, give them quality service, and they have a lot of sales just because of that. So look at your competitors. How do they relate with their customers? If they have poor relations, you can take advantage by offering to those same customers good customer care, and you can win over those customers. How about their prices? How are the prices of your competitors? Excuse me. There are some entrepreneurs who overprice. You buy a product at wholesale at 30 kwacha, and you want to sell it at 120. But you can say, I'll be adding 15% markup, 20% markup, depending on the product and where you get it from. 25%, 30% maximum. And so you are competing in terms of pricing. You are able to beat the price of your competitors. You can also ask yourself this question: how is their distribution done? When you find out how they distribute, you can also find ways of distributing better. What are the features for their products? Very important question. When you find out their features, you can also compete and maybe improve on the features on some of the products. How does their financial strength look like? If your competitor is strong financially, it is difficult for you to compete from the strength of finances. Excuse me. So you can devise other ways of attracting your customers, maybe by offering better customer service, offering a better price, offering a better distribution system, so that you can win more customers and you can grow your finances. How old are they in the business? Sometimes we want to compete with companies that have a lot of experience without actually wanting to learn from them. Okay, like for instance, it's very easy to say there are certain companies, maybe, for example, in the mine supply chain, and you are saying, no, maybe those companies should leave so that we take over. Now the question is, do you have the capacity to provide quality services without the end user suffering? Okay, it's very, very important. So we need to make sure that we build our capacity if we are going to start competing with companies or businesses or competitors that have been quite long in business. So this assessment will help you in deciding whether there are market opportunities for your goods or services. So we have looked at how you need to, the questions that you need to ask when you are doing that competitor assessment.
Now, the next segment is studying customer buying behavior. Now we are looking at the buying behavior of our customers. Buying actually is a process the customer goes through from time of identifying a need to the actual buying of a product. So that is buying. It's a process. It starts with first identifying a need, then goes through up to the time when somebody actually buys the product, which is going to satisfy that identified need. In real life situations, the buying process is usually influenced by so many factors in a customer's life. These include the following. One is the type of friends and family that a customer associates with. This is what is normally called peer pressure. Whom or what type of friends or relatives does this customer associate with? This will actually have an influence on their buying culture. Number two, the level of income of the customer. Often the higher the income, the shorter the buying process. And the lower the income, the longer the buying process. Okay. Those who have the resources are able to just go in, they have already made up their mind, and they have the resources, they'll just buy whatever they want to buy. But usually, those with very low resources, they will take longer, to buy, because they have to negotiate, just look around, see whether they are going to remain with some bit of change when they have bought that particular item. So you find this factor also plays a role in a customer's behavior. The next one is how attractive the product is, and characteristics are. This is now looking at the products themselves. How do you package them? What are the features? You have seen our friends, Trade Kings, the way they package their products. It's so aggressive that when you look at that, you actually feel, I must go and try that product. So that is one way of influencing the behavior of a customer, right? The ability to control the impulses. Some customers buy things they do not necessarily need because they decide to buy without thinking about it in advance. And the amount of promotion by the seller, the higher the amount of promotion, the higher the sales. This is one example which I gave of Trade Kings. These guys have actually, and they are still doing a lot of promotions. And as a result, we see their products are all over. Every household actually has their products. It's because of the type of promotion that they are carrying out. So these are the factors actually which influence the customer's buying behavior. Thank you. Now we look at effective demand versus failed demand. When you are scanning the customer buying behavior, study the issue of demand. demand is, the basis of market opportunities is demand. Do they really need those products? Are those products that you have, or is it goods, or is it a service, is it needed in that community? So that's why we are saying the basis of market opportunities is demand. You cannot take your goods where they are not wanted, for example. If they are not wanted in an area, they will not be bought. So in that way, you will need to do your scanning, find out what is it that is lacking in a particular community. You do your interviews with the customers there to find out what they actually need, what they want, what is their demand, so that we should be able to provide that. So when you provide what they need, then you will be able to have customers coming to buy. The consumer population is your important basis for deciding whether the market exists or not for your goods and services. Here we are looking at the population. You cannot take your business to an area where you have very few people. There is one time someone gave us a story of a certain area where they went to open a shop. It was a fully packed shop with all the goodies. But unfortunately, that area did not have the numbers. They did not have enough people to come and buy those things. So eventually they had to close up. They had to close shop because they were not buying. The whole month you are just seated alone in there. No one visits your shop. What do? You have to move. You close shop. So it is important to look at the customer population. The customer population is your important basis for deciding whether the market exists or not for your goods and services. It is also important to know the difference between effective and felt demands. Effective demand is what people can pay for. What people can pay for. That which they can afford. On the other hand, fulfilled demand is what people want but cannot afford. So those are the two different issues there. We have the felt demand and the effective demand. This one is effective because people are able to pay. And the felt one, the felt one is, okay, you want this thing, but you cannot afford to buy it. So maybe we can move to the next segment.
Excellent. So, dear learners, I hope we are following very closely. I hope that we are taking down notes, because very soon, in a few minutes' time, we shall open the phone lines. My colleague has taken us through studying customer buying behavior, and he has explained what it means to have effective demand versus failed demand. If we have any questions there, please write them down. Very soon, the phone lines will be opened. Now, lastly, let us look at areas to conduct environment scan. Which areas or which sectors can you conduct an environmental scan? Market opportunities are coming up everywhere. They are mushrooming. They are growing very rapidly. Every time that, you know, a day passes, opportunities are also evolving. They are changing in form, but the sectors remain the same. So the one area in which you can conduct an environment scan is in the area of agriculture. Agriculture is the business of cultivating soil, producing crops, raising livestock, raising birds, raising fish. That is all agriculture. Okay? Crop farming is very, very wide also. There are different kinds of crops which are not even very popular, but they are very lucrative. They are very, very, very lucrative. And they can make you to grow your business as a farmer. For example, if you can just identify the right market for certain products, you can grow what is called the English vegetables. You have heard about the broccolis and many others. Those fetch a lot of money because one of the participants of this training that we visited, they have even done all the 24 topics. That man began to produce broccoli. And he says broccoli is very expensive because 150 kg bag was able to earn him more than 1,000 kwacha. That is how profitable those things are. So you can scan in the area of agriculture, in the area of producing crops. Agriculture will also involve beekeeping. That is part of agriculture. In the forestry opportunities. Now with the emphasis by world governments and the government of Zambia, agriculture must be done in a smart way. We need to learn new methods that will not work against the environment. So we need to work in such a way that we are conserving, our environment. We have to be climate smart, climate friendly. So you need to what we call to start greening, to green, 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 like the color green. Start greening your business model. It's very important. At an opportune time, maybe as you come through now on the chamber platform, we'll be able to now bring an expert who is going to talk about opportunities in green economy. There are many opportunities now. You have heard of farming like hydroponics. That is farming without soil. There are all those technologies that you can use and you can conserve nature. We should conserve agriculture by not cutting down trees indiscriminately. Okay? That is very important. So you can scan, do agriculture, scan in the environment, in the area of agriculture. You can also do an environment scan in the area of agriculture processing. What is agriculture processing? Agriculture processing is adding value to agriculture produce into consumable commodities. I think the government has always told us to say, selling or exporting raw commodities is not really adding value to the nation. It will not add much value to your business where you produce your soya beans and it's exported in its raw form. Because when you do that, it means that you are now creating jobs for the importers, the importing country, who are going to now start manufacturing, or they're going to start processing. They will make cooking oil, they will make animal feed, and you are creating employment for their factories. So agriculture processing is one area, okay, where we can conduct an environment scan. You add value to your chickens. You can add value to your tomato. You can add value to your chilies. Okay, Fortune World is in the process of now putting in place some equipment where we can start drying it, where we can start processing it. That is value addition. If you want to see how profitable value addition is as a farmer, take a walk, go into one of the chain stores and just look at the products that are there. Look at the price of cornflakes made from maize. How much is a packet? Look at the packet, a packet of tomato sauce, a bottle of tomato sauce. How much is it? Look at all those other products and compare them with the quantities that you sell raw. Then you will know that there is value to your business when you go into processing. The other area where you can conduct an environment scan is in the area of trade. Trade is the transfer of goods or services from one person to another, often in exchange for money. A network that allows trade is called a market. And most Zambian business people are traders. Okay? There's a difference between a trader and an entrepreneur. At an opportune time, we'll be able to explain in detail, but in a nutshell, a real entrepreneur will be very innovative in the way they do things. They are value adders. They create a certain model. Okay, they are able to conceive an idea and make it work, mostly with innovation. But a trader, an ordinary trader, will buy and sell without modifying anything. So that is basically the difference between an ordinary trader and an entrepreneur. Another area to conduct environment scanning is in the area of construction. The business of building houses, offices, roads, and other infrastructure. So you scan the environment in the town where you are, in Solwezi. Visit the council, find out what opportunities will be floated this year. They will tell you, they don't hide, so that you can prepare to go into that space. Go to provincial administration, they'll give you the information. Go to the mines, to the Kansanshi town office, find out, they'll tell you. They don't hide, but you have to prepare. That's why you have to scan the environment and put your house in order. Okay. Another area to scan the environment is real estate. Real estate. What is real estate? The business of owning residential or commercial property for sale or rent. There are some of you who are our learners that we have visited, and you have slowly started going into that field by building those houses that you are building for rent. That is real estate. You can grow from there. It is very lucrative, and very soon you never know what will happen because of the good policies of the government. Investors are coming in. We are likely to have some investors who are already here expanding their projects. They will create more opportunities. More people will come to Solwezi. More people will come to the province. They will need to rent. So you can prepare for that. Okay? Hospitality is another area. This is the business of receiving guests or visitors by hotels, lodges, or guest house owners. That is hospitality. Even restaurants are also in the hospitality industry because you're always receiving guests, visitors. So you can do a scan in that area and you can build that lodge in an area where there is demand for it. Then, lastly, for the sake of this presentation, you can do an environmental scan in transport services. There are many other sectors we can talk about. But transportation is the business of moving human beings or goods from one place to another. You have passenger services that are in the form of buses, minibuses, and taxis. And we have freight services that are in the form of trucks that transport goods to and from. Now, that is a very lucrative business. Transportation business is very, very wide also. Yesterday, my vehicle was being serviced. I didn't have a vehicle and I had a meeting. I had to attend the meeting. I was part of the delegation that were welcoming His Excellency, the governor for Katanga province. So our provincial minister was the one hosting him at the Royal Sorezi Hotel. I didn't have a car. And I asked the chamber, because I'm also with the Chamber of Commerce, to help me, to hire me a vehicle that I can use just for the day. They phoned the company which hires out vehicles. They didn't have a vehicle. Meaning that vehicles are on demand. Vehicles for hire are on demand. So you can scan the environment. Some of you may want to go into vehicle hire. And one vehicle, if you have a Corolla, for instance, is good, is clean, and is being hired, you can receive not less than a rate of 500 kwacha per day. Okay? And some people will hire your vehicle for a month, depending. Maybe the company hires a vehicle for them. Okay? So you can move in that space. There are a lot of gaps in freight services, for instance, because there are some companies, yes, which are able to carry, parcels from one place to another. Some of them are very expensive. Others are not reliable. So you can come in that space. You can scan the environment, look at the strengths and weaknesses in that area, and then you can decide to offer your services. Well, dear learners, I think we have, me and my colleague have talked a lot. It is time to receive your questions. The phone lines are open. We have 20 minutes and it's quite enough time for us to deliberate. The number to dial is 0978 383 141. 0978 383 141. Give us a missed call and we are going to endeavor to answer you. Give us a missed call. So as we are waiting for your calls, my colleague, maybe there's something else that you may want to communicate to the learners. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, as we are waiting for callers, we have discussed this topic exhaustively, and now maybe just as a matter of emphasis, we look at the competitors, because it seems I've received a good number of questions on the competitors and how they behave, and how you, as an entrepreneur, a businessman there, should be able to, communicate with your competitors. What we should know.
We have the caller. Okay. We are going to call her back. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, your name and where you are calling us from. Madam Alice Hamu Your surname?
Katambo.
Madam Alice Katambo. Okay. Welcome. Your question, please.
It's not a question, it's just an uplifting of the topics which you have today.
Okay.
This topic should be repeated so that many other people should benefit.
Mm,
I have benefited.
sure.
Really.
Wonderful.
May you find time if be allowed to do so that others can benefit the way I have benefited, because I'm online with you. I follow whatever lessons you do, and I have really benefited.
Wonderful. Is your radio on? Are you able to reduce the volume on your radio
Yes, I will do. Thank you.
so that we don't hear that feedback?
All right, thank you.
Please go ahead now.
Yeah, I'm saying. Yes. I'm saying, please kindly repeat the lesson so that people can benefit the way I have also benefited.
Wonderful. Please tell your the people on air your success story. How has the training impacted you?
This training program has really uplifted in my business.
Yes.
From the time I was in the road, I have never missed a lesson. Like today, whatever has been said, I'm in line with it. For me to have a lot of pupils at my school, I will change the uniform so that it can attract them. I have attracted, and my business affair, I'm more privacy. I'm not like my others. I'm not like others who pay or who charge or who receive.
Wonderful. Okay. I think there are network issues there, but Madam Katambo is one of our training beneficiaries. She's one of those success stories. Because of the training program, she started the school, and the school is doing very well. So we are very, very thankful for that encouragement. Dear learners, the lines are open. Please send us the missed call, 0978 383 141. Okay, my colleague was trying to explain something as we wait for another caller.
I was trying to say, you see, as an entrepreneur, a competitor should not be viewed as an enemy. Competitors are not enemies. You can learn a lot from competitors. So don't view them as enemies. They are just the same as you are. They are also trying to make a living out of what they are doing there. But now, what you need to do is, if you find that they are stronger than you in the way they are doing things, learn from them. Or where possible, try to do things better than they are doing. We have heard here that, doing this, the scanning actually, business is dynamic, it changes, right? Today we are doing this, but always look forward. Try to focus. How do I improve what I am doing? Continuously like that, so that you are learning from your competitors and you are bringing in certain innovations, and you will find that you will be a success in your business.
Excellent. So we have heard, dear learners, please give us a missed call, 0978 383 141. Ask your questions. Just page us. We're going to call you back. Ask your questions, and we are going to endeavor to answer you back. So we have looked at a lot of areas. Okay. We have looked at, the first thing that we looked at is we defined what market is. Very, very important for you to understand that your market is very wide. All you need to do is to scan the environment. Look for that particular, there is what we call a niche market. Niche market simply means a specific market that you are going to concentrate on, a specific market that you have captured, which you can have repeat customers. Because not everyone in the market should be your customer. Sometimes you can streamline and you can concentrate to give an excellent service to a specific market. Okay. We have looked at types of goods and services for the market, for market opportunities. It is very, very important to identify those goods. Some goods and services are where you are competent in. You are trained as an artisan, as a welder. You can go into a business where you have that skill. You can open a workshop and you'll be doing those services because you are skilled. There are also goods and services where you are not skilled, where you are able to engage people that are skilled, and you can provide the management, the leadership, and the experts will do their work. Very, very important. We talked about environmental scanning. To scan the environment, like the word scanner. When you go to the hospital and they want to check your chest, they use a scanner. The scanner has eyes. You see inside what the ordinary eyes cannot see. So when you are scanning the environment, you are also trying to see what an ordinary mind cannot see, because you are asking deliberate, specific questions and you are taking deliberate, specific steps. Very important. Most of us business people, including myself in the past, have made mistakes of not properly scanning the environment. You move into a business, you put in money, and you come out with big losses. And we have learned from mistakes. And one thing that we do in this training program is that we are not here to motivate you as motivational speakers. We are not motivational speakers. We are trainers because we want to train you on things that have been tested. That is the difference. So scan the environment. We looked at market identification. Dear learners, please make your calls. I can see that there is a missed call there. Let me call them back and we can get also their question.
Hello?
Good morning, your name, where you are calling us from, and your question.
Yes, I'm Madam Kezia Kamhuza. I'm calling from Bed Bush compound.
Good morning, welcome. Your question, please.
Yes, my question is, on the marketplace, you may find that there are availability of goods, whereby if you are selling, for example, you are selling fish now, you can find that the other one there is doing the same business. Now, how can you attract customers?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Very good question, ma'am. Thank you so much. We are going to answer that question. Thank you so much. I'll throw it to my colleague. Question is, I think she's talking about a situation where market is flooded.
Yes.
With similar products. This one has a box of tomato. The other one, so I have 100 people with the same product. What do you do?
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Kamhuza. I think we did mention here that you as an entrepreneur will always have competitors. Now, when you have competitors, you just need to compete with them. Now, how do you compete with them? Look around, see what they are doing, then see whether you can do something better than them. So, for example, you have mentioned that you are selling fish of the same type. Now, look at the area where you are selling from. It could be your store. They are called stores, those places where you put your fish. Make sure that that place is clean, well maintained. It doesn't have litter anyhow. Then your fish also, make sure that you brush it. It doesn't have those insects, so that that fish can look attractive. Those are some of the things that you can do to attract customers. Okay. Then we have a topic actually on customer relations that you will learn when the time comes. But in short, we would say how you attend to your customers also has a way of attracting customers to you. How do you receive your customers? Apart from making your environment clean, how do you receive your customers? Make sure that when they come over, greet them nicely with a smile. Okay? Then you talk to them nicely in a polite manner, encourage them. Okay? The type of language that you use, it shouldn't be, rough. See, those are some of the things that you can put in place in order to attract customers to your site. There are many, actually. Much of them, actually, which you can do, you will learn when we come to the actual topic, which is customer relations. Thank you.
Excellent. So that was a very, very good question. How do you address the issue of competition, especially among the very small business people where they don't have much capital?
Yeah.
And if it is impwa, every woman is selling impwa. If it is rape, everyone has rape. You need to employ, my co-facilitator has emphasized the issue of good customer service. Quality service is what is going to bring customers to you. In addition to that, you can also become innovative in the way you package, in the way your environment is clean. You have seen Pakiawama there. When it rains, it's a sorry sight. Entrepreneurs, let's become innovative. Let's make sure our environment, where you're operating from, at least make it habitable. And you are going to attract people. You can also identify certain customers and you can do deliveries. Get their contacts, phone them, tell them you have now received very fresh fish, very good quality. Can I bring to you? And some customers will be able to, to appreciate that kind of service. We are in the dying minutes, dear listeners, dear learners of the program. We can squeeze in one more caller so that we can call you back and receive your question. 0978 383141. So we have looked at a lot of subtopics. We have looked at market identification, where you need to explore the market. Let us learn to set aside a small budget for market exploration, market survey. You have heard when mining, you can learn from the giants. Before the mines are open, there is what they call exploration. So they are studying they are testing, they are checking where the minerals are, what's the quality, what's the quantity, what's their market, so that when they start mining, they can predict. It is almost predictable. So we can also explore our market. Before you plant that nursery seed, that nursery bed of cabbage, start exploring the market and know what volumes, where you're going to sell your products. Very, very important. We looked at characteristics in the market. That is also very, very important. We learned on how to target customer profile. Okay, how you can target them. We defined the terms quantitative and qualitative. We said quantitative has to do with quantity of how much you are going to produce. Qualitative has to do with the quality of your products. That is very important to meet the customer. Very, very important. Okay, we looked at what you need to consider when you want to sell to individual customers. Okay, whether they are local, regional, national, or international, there are certain factors. What is called demographics. You look at the age group, you look at the taste of goods that they want, you look at the income groups. If it is high income, you can make money with low income groups because they are the majority and they are producing certain goods for them. That is very, very important. We looked at competitor assessment. We need to profile our competitors, look at their strengths and weaknesses, and how we can effectively enter the market. Okay. We looked at studying the customer behavior. Customers behave in a certain way. You also need to meet them at their point of need because of how they behave. Okay. We defined effective demand versus felt demand. And lastly, we looked at areas to conduct an environment scan. We said you can do that in agriculture processing, trade, construction, real estate, hospitality, and transport services. Well, dear learners, the time is 10 hours. Thank you so much for those that have phoned in. Thank you for your questions and your comments. For those that have been following us on Facebook, so we want to say thank you. Thank you so much. For those of you that followed on radio, we want to say thank you. We encourage you to keep on learning. We will come back next month. If you are in need of a handout, if you need a physical handout, give us a call. We will print you a handout. Come at our office. If you need a soft copy, just instruct us and we'll be able to send you a soft copy. I want to thank once again the sponsors of the program, Kansanshi Mining PLC, for making it possible for us to interact with you on this platform. Thanks to Beast FM, our partners, for being partners in terms of airing these programs consistently and effectively. Until we meet next time, it is goodbye and God bless.